my recent trip to Ukraine made me realize why after over 8 years of living in Germany, as a Latvian, I still don't feel at home here. I felt more at home after 3 days of being in Ukraine than I ever did here. Why? It has nothing to do with the culture or the language, because those are man-made and have absolutely no meaning in nature. But even if you believe that it has some meaning, I grew up with German, so technically I should feel absolutely at home here, but I don't. It's because 99% of the people I was surrounded by in Ukraine were white, like me. At last I felt like I belong. It's the same in Latvia with the exception of some gypsies. And those are outcasts. And that's natural because most people there are white. Of course there's no such thing as black and white. There's different shades of brown, lighter and darker pigmentation. Kids who still have their natural senses point with fingers when they see a human of a different race. If a Finnish kid sees somebody from Africa for the first time, then they will believe that it's a different creature because they see that they are completely different in every way. The hormones change everything. The bone structure is different. It is a different being. I don't give a fuck if you're some brainwashed leftist who has been manipulated to accept everybody, which is why Germany is not Germany anymore. Your nature will never change. Imagine waking up in a room and you have no clue where you are. This alone is frightening, of course, but then imagine that there's 10 people there who you have never met. And you are Norwegian. You wake up with 10 Norwegians. Would you not feel safer? Of course. You could try to figure out a way to get out of there and understand what's going on, because you are with people who are like you. That is natural. Now imagine waking up in a room with 10 people from Nigeria as a Norwegian. Would you feel the same? No fucking way. Anybody who believes that is brain damaged or is lying. Every human would always react the same way. They would feel like they're in danger, and that's normal. This is what you can call natural racism. If a German woman walks home alone at night, then she will feel 100 times safer seeing Germans everywhere compared to Turks and Africans. This is absolutely natural, and anybody who attacks you and calls you racist for believing that is as retarded as somebody who tells you to only eat plants. It's absurd and goes against our senses. Why are most vegans white? It's because they want to make you infertile. It's aimed at white people and any other idiot who falls for it. When I see Muslims shop here, and almost none of them are white, then all that I see is 10 liters of raw milk, butter, meat and eggs. That's what they fucking eat. And there's kids running around everywhere. The vegan shops are filled with pale, weak, white people who are pro-abortion. You can't have your own children, but let's at least fucking support killing babies, motherfuckers. This is why Christianity was destroyed for white people. I'm absolutely against all religions, but at least they revolve around eating meat, especially Islam. There would be almost no vegans if Christianity was still around. You never really feel safe nowadays because you're not connected to almost anybody around you. In nature, you wouldn't live among people who you know nothing about, your so-called neighbors. You would know exactly who they are. You wouldn't simply say hey to them sometimes or completely ignore them. This way of living among strangers, especially different races, is why we never feel safe. How about being in a waiting room at the doctor? You're surrounded by strangers. You have no clue who they are or what they could do. This is not something we think about consciously, but subconsciously, there's always danger. This would never in a million fucking years happen in nature because you would always be alert and know exactly who you're surrounded by, which would most of the time be your own family. This is why cities will never work. Only small communities work. We understand that there are man-made laws that are supposed to protect us from these strangers, but the fear of the unknown will always remain. This is one of the reasons why people want to get away from cities. It makes them depressed, but at the same time they stay in the city because of the drugs that make them feel somewhat safe.